तेनाधिकं ततः यस्मिन् स्थितो न दुःखेन गुरुणापि विचाल्यते तं विद्या दुःखसंयोग वियोगं योगसञ्ज्ञितम्. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The stage of perfection is called trance or samadhi when one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness and enjoys himself through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken even in the midst of greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from material contact. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. By practice of yoga, one becomes gradually detached from material concepts. This is the primary characteristic of the yoga principle. And after this, one becomes situated in trance or samadhi, which means that the yogi realizes the super soul through transcendental mind and intelligence without any of the misgivings of identifying the self with the super self. Yoga practice is more or less based on the principles of the Patanjali system. Some unauthorized commentators try to identify the individual soul with the super soul, and the monists think this to be liberation, but they do not understand the real purpose of the Patanjali system of yoga. There is an acceptance of transcendental pleasure in the Patanjali system, but the monists do not accept this transcendental pleasure out of fear of jeopardizing the theory of oneness. The duality of knowledge and knower is not accepted by the non-dualist, but in this verse, transcendental pleasure realized through transcendental senses is accepted. And this is corroborated by the Patanjali Muni, the famous exponent of the yoga system. The great sage declares in his Yoga Sutras, Purushartha Shunyanam Gunanam Pratiprasavaha Kaivalyam Swarupa Pratishtava Chiti Shakti Riti. This Chiti Shakti or internal potency is transcendental. Purushartha means material religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and at the end, the attempt to become one with the Supreme. This oneness with the Supreme is called Kaivalyam by the monist. But according to Patanjali, this Kaivalyam is an internal or transcendental potency by which the living entity becomes aware of his constitutional position. In the words of Lord Chaitanya, this state of affairs is called Cheto Darbana Marjanam, or clearance of the impure mirror of the mind. This clearance is actually liberation or Bhavan Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. The theory of nirvana, also preliminary, corresponds with this principle. In the Bhagavatam, this is called Swarupena Vyavasthitihi. The Bhagavad-Gita also confirms this situation in this verse. After nirvana or material cessation, there is a manifestation of spiritual activities or devotional service of the Lord known as Krishna consciousness. In the words of the Bhagavatam, Swarupena Vyavasthitihi. This is the real life of the living entity. Maya or illusion is the condition of spiritual life contaminated by material infection. Liberation from this material infection does not mean destruction of the original eternal position of the living entity. Patanjali also accepts this by his words, Kaivalyam Swarupa Pratishtava Chiti Shakti Riti. This Chiti Shakti or transcendental pleasure is real life. This is confirmed in the Vedanta Sutras as Anandamayo Abhyasat. This natural transcendental pleasure is the ultimate goal of yoga and is easily achieved by execution of devotional service or Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga will be vividly described in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita. In the yoga system, as described in this chapter, there are two kinds of samadhi called Samprajñata Samadhi and Asamprajñata Samadhi. When one becomes situated in the transcendental position by various philosophical researchers, it is called Samprajñata Samadhi. In the Asamprajñata Samadhi, there is no longer any connection with mundane pleasure, for one is transcendental to all sorts of happiness derived from the senses. When the yogi is once situated in the transcendental position, he is never shaken from it. Unless the yogi is able to reach this position, he is unsuccessful. Today's so-called yoga practice, which involves various sense pleasures, is contradictory. A yogi indulging in sex and intoxication is a mockery. Even those yogis who are attracted by the siddhis, perfections in the process of yoga, are not perfectly situated. If the yogis are attracted by the byproducts of yoga, then they cannot attain the stage of perfection as is stated in this verse. Persons, therefore, indulging in the make-show practice of gymnastic feats or siddhis should know that the aim of yoga is lost in that way. The best practice of yoga in this age is Krishna consciousness, which is not baffling. A Krishna conscious person is so happy in his occupation that he does not aspire after any other happiness. There are many impediments, especially in this age of hypocrisy, to practicing Hatha Yoga, Dhyana Yoga and Jnana Yoga, but there is no such problem in executing Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. As long as the material body exists, one has to meet the demands of the body, namely eating, sleeping, defending and mating. But a person who is in pure Bhakti Yoga or in Krishna consciousness does not arouse the senses while meeting the demands of the body. Rather, he accepts the bare necessities of life, making the best use of a bad bargain, and enjoys transcendental happiness in Krishna consciousness. He is callous toward incidental occurrences such as accidents, disease, scarcity, and even the death of a most dear relative. But he is always alert to execute his duties in Krishna consciousness or Bhakti Yoga. Accidents never deviate him from his duty. As stated in the Bhagavad-Gita, Agama paino anityas tam stitikshasva bharata. He endures all such incidental occurrences because he knows that they come and go and do not affect his duties. In this way, he achieves the highest perfection in yoga practice. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Bangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Mande Shri Gurum Dina Taranam. Few days back, Chennai was rocked by a couple of cyclones. And when the cyclone, of course, the government had given a lot of advance intimation. I think more or less everybody was mentally, physically, everybody was prepared for the cyclone. Finally, when the cyclone made a landfall, continuously there was rainfall here. And I remember when the cyclone, there was a landfall and it was raining. In the morning when I stepped out of the home to come to the temple, I was carrying an umbrella. If you see the place where I stay, when you open the door, there is one small veranda kind of thing, and then you come out into the open. The moment I opened the door, I saw in the veranda, in one corner, one street dog has come and he is lying down comfortably because it's cold, it's raining, and I didn't want to disturb him. I quietly came out and came to the temple. And when I came to the temple, raining very heavily, all of you would have experienced that. And it was not only raining, we are on the beach also. There were very heavy gusts of wind. I was looking out of these windows and I saw those trees along our compound wall, along the temple's compound wall. And in the breeze, they were all bending like this and the leaves were all being blown and they were coming back and going down. They were swaying back and forth. So I was thinking, my God, fortunately, we have a wonderful, nice temple hall, safely ensconced. And all the windows are closed, so we are comfortable. If we have to stand in that rain, what would be our situation? I was thinking like that. So probably if you speak to if trees and plants could speak, probably if you ask the trees how you are feeling, maybe the trees would have said, I'm enjoying. Recently one of our temples from the US, I think it was Boston Temple, they posted some pictures of, the first snow that had fallen there. Around the temple. The temple is there and everywhere on the road, surrounding areas and all, lot of snow. And you can see even the trees, they are all covered with snow. So you can imagine, snow means you go out, it will be freezing cold. You will have to wear gloves, you have to wear jacket, cap and all those things if you have to go out. And imagine all those plants and trees all standing out in the open just like that. All the snow here in the rain, in the gusting wind, all that they keep standing silently, tolerating everything. So probably if you ask the tree, how is the snow? He will say, I'm enjoying it. But when we look at the tree, what do we feel? Oh, the tree is suffering. My God, I'm fortunate that I am not having to stand bare like that in the cyclone rain or in the gusting wind or in the snow, isn't it? Similarly, the dog, if you look at the dog was coming into the veranda and sleeping there. The dog was not standing in the rain like the tree. Dog has understanding that, standing in the rain is not pleasing. It is not happiness. It wants a shelter. Similarly, other animals also, cats, dogs, all these, they will go underneath some culvert, or they'll find some buildings, some veranda, some balcony where they will go and sit, where they can be protected from the rain. So you see, animals understand that standing in the rain or the snow is not happy. It's not pleasing. So human being, if you look at human being also can understand that standing in the rain, standing in the snow is not pleasing. So will a human being be satisfied simply by standing in a veranda like an animal? No. He will want to go inside the house, inside the room, lock himself, put on a heater or something like that, or wear a blanket. Human being's sensitivity is higher than that of an animal. Animal sensitivity is higher than that of a tree. You understand? So, according to the body that we have, our conception or understanding of the standard of happiness also varies. For a tree, standing in the cyclone, in the rain, in the wind, in the snow, no difference. Animal, no, I need some shelter. Human being, not some shelter is enough. I need a house, I need a flat, I need a enclosed space where I can comfortably be secure. Human beings' level of this one is far higher. Why? Why is this differing senses of perception, differing perceptions of happiness amongst different kinds of living entities? Because the animals are more intelligent than the plants and trees. The plants and trees are almost like dead matter. Their consciousness is very low, their intelligence is very low. So for them, they can stand in the rain, shine, the cyclone, the snow, it doesn't make any difference to them. Animals have a little more developed intelligence, little more consciousness, so they cannot stand this. For them, they cannot tolerate this, they need a place of shelter. Human beings are even more intelligent. They want more organized way of their shelter, of their protection. They want more comfortable arrangement. So, all living entities, according to higher intelligence, are looking for higher happiness. Now, human beings, they make very big, elaborate arrangements for their happiness. But essentially, if you see, the animals, the birds, the bees, human beings, all of them are fundamentally engaged in seeking happiness in 4 activities: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Just like the animal was going and taking shelter from the cyclone, it was protecting, it was defending itself against the weather. So defense, then mating, then eating and sleeping. These are activities which are common to humans as well as animals. But then human beings want to do the same things in a refined way, in a sophisticated way. We want to sleep, we will not sleep on the road like cats and dogs. We want a house, we want a bed, there has to be a mattress, there has to be air conditioning, there has to be so many arrangements. Then only we feel, yes, now I can sleep nicely. Eating, we don't eat like animals. Whatever is lying on the road, pick up and eat. We don't do that. We want to see a kitchen. Kitchen should be there, very hygienic, very neat kitchen should be there. And there a hygienic person should cook. And then it should be put on a plate, presented nicely with some garnishing. And on a nice plate and all that. And one waiter has to come in the 5-star hotel. The chair should be very comfortable. And the decor all should be very nice. Then you feel, yes, today the food is nice. So you see, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, we want to improve the conditions of that because we feel in that there is happiness. But no matter how much we improve the comforts of eating, sleeping, and mating and defending, our hankering for that happiness never reduces. We only want more. And that is how you'll see science and technology is also constantly, it is improving, enhancing, increasing. Today you have one model of iPhone. You are not satisfied with that. Next year, new model comes, you will go and stand in the queue and buy the new model because new features. You want new features, new apps, artificial intelligence, so many things should be there. And every year, they are also, the Apple company is also working overnight. Day and night, they are also working throughout the year. How to bring out new features. So, you don't find one phone has come, iPhone has come, I bought it, next, until I die, this one phone is enough for me. No, every year you want an improvement, upgrade. All the apps also, you won't have the same app. The app has to keep getting upgraded. And you have to take a subscription and you want to keep upgrading it. Then only you feel happiness. So your thirst for that happiness never reduces. This is the nature of happiness which is derived from the senses. Our senses of eyes, ears, nose, tongue and the genitals. Whatever our jnanendriyas are there, knowledge acquiring senses are there. The happiness that we derive out of that, the nature is we want constant increase, enhancement and improvement. We will never come to a state where we say, yes, I have found the pinnacle of happiness, beyond that there is nothing. No. We always keep seeing improvement, new, improved, new, improved. You will find a soap bar, today they will have an advertisement, new released. After 1 year, they will say new and improved. They keep doing that. The wrapper will change, the shape will change, the color will change. They keep doing that, otherwise nobody will buy. Although essentially at the end of the day, you pour water and you rub the soap, it's all the same. But you want to keep improving. This is the nature of Indriya Sukha, happiness which is derived from the senses, the eyes, ears, nose, skin, etc. So Krishna is saying here, there is another kind of happiness. Yam ladva chaparam labhyam manyate adikam tataha. Once you taste that pleasure, you feel there is nothing higher than this. This is the ultimate. And what is that? Sukham atyantikam yat tad buddhigrahyam atindriyam. Atindriyam, it is beyond the senses. Whatever pleasure is there within this material world, within the purview of the senses, within the purview of the five senses, it will never satiate, it will never be satisfying. So, happiness, which is the highest, can be experienced only when it is atindriya, beyond the senses. And that happiness, how do you experience? Buddhigrahyam, with intelligence. We have seen how the intelligence evolves from the plant body to the animal body to the human body. Accordingly, our sense of pleasure also keeps increasing. If a plant or a tree is happy in the cyclone, but when we look at it, we see distress. Animal is happy being under a culvert or in the corner of a veranda. When we look at it, we see distress. Why? Because the animal's intelligence is higher than the plants and human's intelligence is higher than that of the animals. So when your intelligence goes up, as your intelligence increases, your sense of pleasure and distress also goes up. Now Krishna is saying, Buddhigrahyam, when your intelligence is spiritual intelligence and the pleasure that you are seeking is atindriya, Buddhigrahyam atindriyam. So when it is beyond the senses, then that kind of pleasure, yam labdva chaparam labham manyate nadikam tata, you will find that is the supreme pleasure. There is nothing beyond this. And what is that? How do you experience that pleasure? If something is beyond the purview of our senses, eyes, ears, nose, skin, etc., how will I ever experience that thing? Whatever I experience within the material world has to be within the purview of these five senses. You cannot experience anything beyond this. So then how do you experience the pleasure which is atindriyam? Prabhupada quotes one verse from the Shastras which states, Ramante yogino anante satyanande chidatmani. The yogis, the great rishis, they have given up all the happiness which is coming out of these five senses. They have rejected everything, renounced everything, gone to the forest, deep in the forest, and they are sitting and meditating deeply. What are they meditating upon? So why have they left all the happiness from the sense pleasures, which all the common mass of people, we are all running after those pleasures. The sages have given up that, and they are deep in the forest, they are meditating. Why? Because they are experiencing Ramante, Anante, Satyanande, Chidatmani. The Yoginaha, they are Ramante, they are experiencing that higher pleasure, which is Atindriyam, which is beyond the senses. How do they experience that pleasure? Ramante Yogino, Anante Satyanande Chidatmani, Iti Ramapadena so Parabrahma Vidiyate. They are experiencing that higher pleasure, highest pleasure, by reciting, remembering the holy name of Lord Rama, Krishna. So, the highest pleasure, which is beyond our senses, by experiencing which we will feel that there is nothing higher than this. This is the culmination, this is the highest pleasure, and which will satisfy you to the core of your heart. What is that? You simply chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If you simply chant Krishna's holy name, you will experience a pleasure which is beyond whatever you have experienced, whatever pleasure you have experienced through your senses within this material world. No pleasure in this material world can even come close to the pleasure you can experience by chanting Hare Krishna. And not only that, you will actually realize, Manyate nadikam tata, you yourself will realize, nobody has to tell you, nobody has to give you a certificate. You yourself will experience, my God, this happiness, there is nothing that can equal this. And not only that, Yasmin stito na dukhyena gurunapi vichalyate. Even the greatest calamity or distress befalls you, you will not be disturbed even the slightest. It will be like something is coming and going. That's all. This is the nature of transcendental happiness, which is derived out of chanting Hare Krishna, reading the Srimad-Bhagavatam, hearing the pastimes of Krishna, reading the Bhagavad-Gita, hearing the instructions of Krishna. That spiritual happiness is what we are all hankering for. Unfortunately, we are running behind the sense objects, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, whatever the senses we can perceive out of that, the form, sound, taste, touch, sound. These 5 things we are running after in this material world, but we'll never be able to be happy or satisfied by this. Simply, if we take a chanting of Hare Krishna, we can experience that pleasure which we are running after since several lifetimes, millions of lifetimes we have been hankering for it. So this is the solution which Krishna is giving in the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, we don't have to go anywhere else, we don't have to do anything else. Simply make it a point to chant Hare Krishna every day and experience pleasure which is beyond the senses and which is most satisfying to the heart. So we'll stop here. Srimad-Bhagavad-Gita ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.